Welcome back, everyone, to NMcDonough Consulting's AI Bootcamp, Episode 6. I'm NMcDonough, and today we're diving deep into something absolutely critical: AI ethics, governance, and risk management. Why does this matter? Because brilliant AI without responsibility becomes an organizational liability. From Session 5, we know strategy, pilots, and change management drive success. Today, we add the essential layer, embedding ethics, governance, and risk into every single decision you make. Let's transform AI from a technical question into a business leadership question. Here's what you're walking away with today: the ability to lead responsible AI programs that genuinely protect and grow your organization. We're covering ethics as a smart business, not just morality; how to build trust with customers, partners, employees, and regulators; the four core principles: fairness, accountability, transparency, and human dignity; and exactly how to operationalize them, where AI bias hides and how to eliminate it before it damages you; global regulations from the EU AI Act to industry specific rules you can't ignore; and finally, governance frameworks and risk strategies that actually protect your business. My promise is you'll make ethics and risk your competitive edge, not a compliance checkbox. Let's talk about the business case for ethics, because it's not abstract philosophy. Ethics isn't optional anymore. It's a business imperative with real financial consequences. Ethical failures cost organizations billions in fines and reputational damage. But here's what sets winners apart: leading organizations embed ethics from day one. They don't retrofit after crises emerge. Why? Because ethical AI earns fierce customer loyalty, attracts top talent who want meaningful work, avoids regulatory penalties that erode profitability, and builds competitive advantages that other organizations can't easily replicate. Here's the truth: ethics isn't a constraint on innovation, it's an enabler. Organizations that lead on responsibility focus on growth, while reactive competitors manage crisis after crisis. Build ethics in from the start. Let me be clear: trust is the currency of AI. Without it, no implementation succeeds. Everyone's watching your AI practices. Customers demand data privacy and transparency. They want to know what you're collecting and how you're using it. Partners evaluate your AI ethics as vendor risk because your practices affect their reputation. Employees expect fairness in hiring, performance evaluations, and promotion decisions. Regulators enforce compliance, and standards evolve rapidly, sometimes monthly. The payoff for getting this right: companies leading on transparency earn measurably higher brand value and customer loyalty. But here's the hard part: trust builds slowly through consistent behavior, yet it's destroyed instantly by one high profile failure. You must invest in maintaining trust across all stakeholders continuously. Let me introduce you to four principles that guide all responsible AI. Think of these as your North Star. Fairness actively avoids bias and discrimination. This requires more than good intentions. It requires continuous vigilance, proactive testing, and honest acknowledgement of limitations. Accountability assigns crystal clear ownership for outcomes and errors. Someone must own each system. Transparency enables explainability. People deserve to understand decisions affecting them. Human dignity keeps people in the loop, preserving autonomy and meaningful oversight. These aren't abstract ideals, they're operational frameworks. You can write them down in a policy document, but then you have to operationalize them through actual policies, training programs, regular audits, and daily practices. Make them real. Quiz time. Which principle preserves human autonomy and meaningful oversight? Is it A, fairness, B, accountability, C, transparency, or D, human dignity? The answer: D, human dignity. It ensures people stay central to decisions. AI serves humanity, not the other way around. Let me tell you why this slide matters. AI bias is real, it's happening right now, and it's dangerous. AI amplifies human bias in hiring, lending, healthcare, and pricing decisions. Where does bias come from? skewed training data that doesn't reflect your actual population diversity, hidden variables where seemingly neutral factors correlate with protected characteristics. Models drift over time, and narrow testing scenarios during development. Here's how to address it: regular bias audits across demographic groups, diverse training data that reflects your population, continuous monitoring, and human oversight on high stakes calls. Here's the critical insight: bias isn't just unethical, it's illegal in many contexts and exposes your organization to serious regulatory risk. Address it proactively before it becomes a liability. Here's a hard truth: most AI models are black boxes, hard to explain, impossible to defend. Why does this matter? Because explainable AI is crucial for regulated industries, high stakes decisions like hiring and credit, and maintaining accountability. You have tools available. LIME and SHAP provide model agnostic explanations. Model cards document intended use and limitations. Feature importance plots show what drives decisions. You should use them. But here's what really matters: be honest about limitations. If you can't explain how a decision was made, you shouldn't deploy it for critical business decisions. Organizations succeeding with AI can explain systems clearly to regulators, customers, and executives. Transparency isn't luxury, it's a requirement. Let's talk privacy, because it's the foundation of trust, not just a compliance checkbox. You need to know the major regulations: GDPR, affecting anyone with EU customers; HIPAA, protecting healthcare data; PIPEDA, governing Canada; and DORA, protecting EU tech infrastructure. Now, controls: encrypt and anonymize data at rest and in transit. Minimize collection. Focused, targeted data is better than massive data sets. Maintain comprehensive audit trails of every access. Here's the business truth: privacy isn't just legal, it's your competitive advantage. Customers know their data has value, and they're watching how you handle it. Companies genuinely committed to privacy earn loyalty and attract privacy conscious customers. When AI fails, who's accountable? This question must have a crystal clear answer in your organization. Four elements make this work. First, assign clear roles and ownership. Designate who owns each system. Second, document everything: all decisions, updates, data sources, and approvals. Documentation protects you legally and enables learning. Third, establish escalation protocols for errors. What happens when something goes wrong? Who gets notified immediately? Who has authority to take corrective action? Fourth, share accountability between business and tech teams, not isolated in IT. Clear accountability enables swift action and trust. Ambiguity creates chaos, finger pointing, and compounded damage. The EU AI Act is important to understand because it's reshaping how AI is deployed globally. It's the world's toughest regulation, and it's setting the global standard. There's four risk tiers: unacceptable risk, which is completely banned; high risk, which has strict oversight and requirements; limited risk, where disclosure is required; and minimal risk, where there's minimal obligations. You can think of high risk AI in hiring decisions, credit scoring, and critical infrastructure. They need transparency, human oversight, and regular auditing. Documentation, testing, and risk management become mandatory. Penalties can reach up to 6% of global turnover, even if you're not EU based. If you serve EU customers or affect EU citizens, you're subject to this. Plan for compliance now, not after violations incur penalties. Beyond general AI regulations, your specific industry has its own rules. Healthcare has the strictest standards on privacy and proof of clinical validity. Finance requires detailed audit trails and explainability for every decision. HR faces anti bias mandates with audit requirements. The problem? Regulations evolve fast. What's compliant in 2025 may not be in 2026. Here's my recommendation: build relationships with legal counsel who understand both your specific industry and AI technology comprehensively. You need both perspectives, industry expertise and technical understanding, to navigate this landscape effectively. Let me walk you through what effective governance actually looks like. Four elements create systematic governance. First, written policies defining acceptable use and ethical boundaries explicitly. Second, cross functional governance committees with diverse expertise and real authority to make binding decisions. Third, centralized model registry tracking every AI system, owners, data sources, and deployment locations. Fourth, regular risk review panels at board level evaluating emerging risks and governance effectiveness. Without formal governance, AI adoption becomes chaotic. Different standards across different departments, invisible risks accumulating, and no mechanism for coordinated response. Build governance before you need it, not after a crisis forces your hand. Here's how to make risks visible instead of vague and overwhelming. Use a heat map approach. Assess likelihood and impact, and there's four categories that matter. Technical risks like model errors and data quality failures, regulatory risks covering compliance violations, operational risks spanning vendor disruptions and data drift, human factors including misuse and training gaps. For each identified risk, document detection capabilities. Can you spot it? How quickly? What are the warning signs? Risk assessment isn't a one time exercise. Reassess regularly as AI systems evolve, business context changes, and regulations shift. Here's a reality check: AI will make mistakes. The question is whether or not you're prepared. There's five main mitigation strategies: human in the loop review of critical outputs before action, real time filtering and confidence scoring that flags uncertain predictions, continuous monitoring for performance degradation, regular retraining with validated data, and fallback protocols providing alternatives when systems fail. Technical risks are inevitable with current AI technology. The question isn't whether errors will occur, it's whether you'll detect them quickly and respond effectively. Organizations acknowledging AI limitations and building systematic controls deploy safely. Those assuming AI is infallible create catastrophic vulnerabilities. Reputational damage spreads faster than you think. A biased hiring tool, a false service denial, discriminatory pricing. Once public, damage accelerates in hours. So, how do you protect yourself? Liability insurance, specifically covering AI specific risks, not just general technology errors. Pre established crisis communication plans enabling hour by hour response. Legal review of high impact systems before deployment, and transparent stakeholder protocols. Here's what separates winners from losers: have your crisis plan ready before you need it. Speed and honesty preserve trust, and organizations that handle crisis well are prepared in advance. Let's talk about new vulnerabilities AI creates. AI systems depend on vendors who could disrupt, integrations that could fail, data that could drift, and cloud infrastructure that could go down. These are real operational risks. How do you build resilience? Well, there's three ways: business continuity plans for different outage scenarios, fallback mechanisms and manual processes for critical functions, and regular scenario testing. Don't wait for a real crisis to discover your contingency plans don't work. AI increases operational efficiency, but also creates new dependencies. Manage them proactively or face inevitable crisis. Let's talk about something I believe in deeply: human in the loop systems. I believe in a four-step workflow that preserves accountability. AI recommends, human reviews and validates, human can override based on context, and an accountable human decides and documents. This preserves accountability and resilience in real world use while empowering people to maintain meaningful control. Here's how to implement effectively. Define approval points by risk level. Where does human judgment really matter? Create clear escalation paths for unusual situations. And enable exception handling with documented override procedures. Human review recognizes AI's current limitations and preserves judgment where it matters most. Quiz time. What is a key reason organizations should maintain a human in the loop system in AI operations? Is it A, to fully automate decision making, B, to comply with GDPR only, C, to ensure expert review and final accountable human approval, or D, to reduce operational costs? The answer is C, expert review and final approval. It preserves judgment and accountability on high stakes decisions where context and ethics matter. Let me demystify what regular auditing actually means. Three types matter: technical audits assessing accuracy, drift, and performance metrics; ethical audits evaluating bias, fairness, and transparency; and regulatory audits verifying compliance with laws and standards. Here's some best practices: quarterly audit cycles, comprehensive checklists ensuring consistency, detailed records enabling traceability, and independent auditors for critical systems. Additionally, try to bring in feedback loops that incorporate findings into governance. Here's the key insight: auditing identifies issues before they cause harm. Treat it as a learning opportunity, not a threat. When you rely on third party AI vendors, their practices become your risk. Assess three critical areas. Can the vendor explain their AI model's decisions clearly? Do they adhere to relevant regulations and security certifications like SOC 2 or ISO 27001? What are their data handling, storage, and retention policies? Verify all of this independently. Don't just take their word. Contract essentials you must negotiate: liability and indemnification, protecting you if vendor AI causes harm; model update and version control procedures; data security commitments with specific safeguards; service level agreements ensuring reliability; audit rights letting you verify compliance; and exit strategies and data migration plans for when relationships end. Strong contracts protect you, and weak ones create catastrophic exposure. Here's something I can't say enough: plan for incidents before they happen. There's four clear steps here. Define incident categories and severity levels with escalation flows. Assemble response teams, pre identifying members with clear roles where everyone knows their responsibility before crisis hits. Practice tabletop exercises to test procedures and identify gaps. And finally, document and learn from every incident. Here's what separates winning organizations from struggling ones: incidents teach invaluable lessons. Organizations that learn from problems become stronger and more resilient. Those that hide or ignore them repeat mistakes with escalating consequences. Treat incidents as learning opportunities. Quiz time. Why is auditing AI models regularly important in governance? Is it A, to check for model drift, bias, and ensure regulatory compliance? B, to increase model complexity? C, to reduce transparency? Or D, to eliminate the need for human review? The answer: A, detect drift, bias, and ensure compliance. Audits verify performance hasn't degraded, fairness hasn't eroded, and regulations haven't changed. They're your verification mechanism for trustworthy AI. Let's dive into our episode 6 key takeaways. Here are 6 essentials. Foster ethical culture. It's everyone's job, not one person's responsibility. Monitor and reduce bias relentlessly through continuous testing. Communicate transparently about what AI does and doesn't do. Stay compliant globally by monitoring evolving regulations. Prepare for incidents before they happen, and empower human oversight. Keep people in the loop. Here's my success formula: ethical mindset plus transparency plus compliance plus human oversight equals responsible AI at scale. Organizations winning with AI have the best governance, strongest ethical foundation, and most mature risk management, not just the best technology. Make ethics and risk your core advantage. Thanks for joining episode 6. We covered ethics, governance, and real risk management strategies that protect your business. If you have any questions, please email me at noah@nmcdonoughconsulting.com. I love reading every message. We've now completed sessions 1 to 6, covering foundations, machine learning, generative AI, tools, strategy, and ethics. See you in episode 7, where we explore the future of AI and how to transform your workforce for the AI era. Keep building AI responsibly.